Hello everybody, this is Tim here again, here another movie review, this time for Paranormal Activity 3. Like I said, I'm probably going to be storming through these movies pretty quick, because there really isn't much to them, and they're pretty easy to review. For Paranormal, sorry about that, the laptop was kind of shaking there a little bit, and as you can see, I'm obviously outside to do this, because, well, I'm kind of burning through these reviews here pretty quick with these Paranormal Activity movies, because none of them are really good, and I can tell this is going to be pretty much a crap show franchise. But yeah, with this Paranormal Activity 3 here, it's pretty much a prequel movie. You got young Katie and the young version of her sister from the second movie. And they try to do a prequel here. But the thing is, if you actually watch this movie and try to link it up with those first two movies, it really doesn't make sense at all in context of like those first two flicks. Like, it really doesn't entirely make sense from a connection wise. And I know why. It's because they're deliberately adding mythology to these movies that they never had planned, and they're doing that way you'll be like so intrigued, hopefully, with the gimmick of the movies, because these are gimmick movies about this supposedly being real and all that. But pretty much by this third one, they've kind of given up on that. Like, if you still think this is real at this point, then you are extremely gullible. But yeah. So they're still kind of going with that gimmick thing here. Well, actually, they don't really play up the like whole "this is real" gimmick thing. They don't really do that here. At this point, I think they know that most people going into this kind of know it's a movie, but they're hoping that you'll still buy into the gimmick of it being like a found footage thing, to where you will be still in your mind feeling that this is real. But if you know anything about how movies are made and how they're put together and stuff like that, like I do from a critical standpoint, like how they're edited and all that, you can tell exactly when certain things are going to happen in this movie. Like, you can literally time it and just know when things are going to happen. The difference here, though, is this one is directed better as a movie. Like, this goes more for that style of the second one, where they're not really trying to play up the whole "this could be actually real" thing. And if you hear something in the background, that's because there's like vehicles and stuff going by. Yeah, just to say that. But yeah, this is more like in the vein of the second one, where it is just a movie and is treated as a movie. They're not really trying to play it up as hard as that first one to where it could be real. They've just kind of said the hell with that since the second one. So this has more special effects shots in it and stuff, but at this point I'm more okay with it, because I've kind of accepted it. They're not really trying to do what they did in the first one. Even though they are still trying to make you somewhat buy that this is actually real. But it is a movie. Who cares at this point? But yeah, there's a little bit more special effects shots here. They're trying to add a little bit more to the mythology, like the whole grandmother was brainwashed as a child to be like in this witch's coven so they can give up their sons or something. And it still doesn't really explain anything or much of anything. But what they're doing is they're teasing you at the audience watching to try to get you intrigued so you'll come back for the next movie, because these are just like gimmick films. Yeah, that's what they're doing. But it's pretty much the same thing. It doesn't really make sense with the link up to the first two, but at the same time, it doesn't really link directly up by the ending of it with the first two, because they're deliberately leaving stuff out that they can hopefully explain and get you intrigued to come back for the next movie, so they can once again tease just a little bit more to keep you coming back for sequel after sequel. Jason Blum is kind of a genius with the way he's got these movies together. Like, these movies are all poor. I know they're going to be, and this is no exception, but compared to the first two, it's just slightly more entertaining is the only difference here. And the directing is better here. Like, I do feel like these directors, if they got like an actual movie to do and not just kind of like a gimmick thing, cash grab like this, and did an actual movie, like an Insidious movie or something, which are just Poltergeist ripoffs really, but still, if they got to actually do at least one of those, I think these directors could have something. But yeah, there's like a scene where there's like this handheld camera thing where it keeps like going back and forth, and it builds up the suspense of when it gets back to where the person is at, where you get the view of them that you're going to see a scare. It's pretty well done. It's done kind of well. You get to the ending of the film, though, they go to stay at like the grandma's house or whatever, and she's obviously like a member of this satanic witch cult. And one thing I don't like about these cult movies and stuff like that, and you can tell this was on a low budget, because the dad, once again, though, it makes no sense from like a parent point of view of like bug, but it makes no sense from a parent point of view why the family, even though they're living in the grandma's house now after everything that's happened, why they wouldn't have the children in the room with them. It really doesn't make any sense. So the dad's like going through the house trying to find the kids, and you get the Katie girl who's once again possessed, and she's got that really crappy CGI demonic face that she had at the end of part one. And just lunging at the camera, and the dad gets blown back. Looks like he just gets blown back like a few inches, but he hits a table, and then after that he can he can't even move hardly. It felt like really over the top. It's just one of those kind of generic found footage type things that you see where they're just trying to hurry up and wrap it up. Yeah, he's just like crawling, and then you get a special effect where like the demon like bends the dude backwards. It was kind of cool, kind of a cool effect. Like that stuff like that makes me think these directors could have something if they did just an actual straight up Insidious movie or something. Yeah, just for the special effects at the end here and stuff, I'd give it like 1 star. This one still sucks, but it's not as terrible as those first two because the characters here, once again, they're actors, so they're not as bad to watch, even though they're still bland because there's not really anything to the characters because they're trying to just play them as just like average people. So they're both just the woman's acting is good, but because and the guy's acting really isn't bad, but because he's trying to like carry most of the movie. Whereas the female character was trying to carry most of the movies in the other ones, or the first two. Here's trying to let the man be mostly the lead instead of the skeptic the entire time, even though he is kind of filming all the stuff and all that. And then once again, you get through that situation where it takes him forever to really like react to what the hell's going on and realize the situation is serious. But when he does, though, he actually tries to be proactive. So because we're spending more time with the guy and he's trying to carry the movie more, it makes him come off a little bit worse, even though I don't think his acting is really that much worse than the female actresses. So yeah, he's okay. They got like this one dude in here who's actually the only person with any sense in all three of these movies so far. His character is kind of annoying. He's like this, I guess he's supposed to be like a brother character or something like that, but I completely forgot what he was. These movies are starting to merge together, to be honest. But he like gets attacked and gets like bitten. Kind of reminded me of something from like you would see in a Poltergeist movie. But he's like, I'm getting the hell out of here, and you should do the same. I'm leaving. Goodbye. See you later. And he leaves, and that's just the end of it. He's just written out of the movie. He's just like the tech guy, and he just leaves. So yeah, it's like, wow, common sense finally in one of these films. Friggin' finally. But yeah, at the end, it's just this. This always bugs me in like cult movies, and especially here because this is obviously low budget. Which it doesn't need to be a high budget for this kind of gimmick thing they got going, but it does get noticeable here at the end because the dad's like walking around. He looks into like the backyard, and you got like the grandma out there dressed in black, and like 2 or 3 other like old people who are dressed in black, and there's just like 4 or 5 of them, and they're all dressed in black, and they look like they're like 70 or 80 years old, and there's only like 4 or 5 of them from what I remember. And the dude's like running to the house like he's scared to death. That just always bugs me in like these low budget type movies because and cult movies in general when it's not like a huge amount of people, because this dude is like young. He's still pretty young and he still looks pretty healthy. He looks like a decent sized guy, and I'm like 6 foot, like almost 4. And I'm a big dude, so I'm like I'm just not scared of like old women. That just doesn't frighten me. Like even if she had a knife, I would just automatically just like pick up a 2x4 and knock this woman's brains out. I mean, I don't feel any fear from a 90-year-old woman coming at me with a knife. I don't feel anything from that. I mean, that's not me trying to sound macho or nothing. It's just nothing scary to me about that. Like as a man, as a physically strong man, and I know that sounds like a generic macho thing to say, but realistically, honestly, I felt like I could just like whoop all 4 of these like old women's asses to where I didn't see him as a threat whatsoever. Sorry about that. And sorry about the laptop kind of moving there. I got it in my lap. But yeah, so the dude just gets killed and the girls get brought upstairs and it just ends on a cliffhanger. Sorry about that again. I got a cough going here. But yeah, all in all, just a 1 star out of 4. It sucks, but it's got some neat special effects moments and 1 or 2 like good directed shots to where these directors probably could do maybe a standard spook house actual movie instead of just a gimmick film like this if they were given a different property and a bigger budget. Yeah, all in all, it's just a 1 star film, and if you hear a dog barking in the background, that's because there's a lot of dogs around here. So once again, I'm sorry about having to do this video outside, but I just really wanted to get this over with because I'm really tired of this franchise. So yeah, all in all, this is a 1 star movie just for some special effects shots. It's just another pointless Paranormal Activity movie, really. It just happens to be slightly better directed for this franchise. Like, if I was judging this in terms of like horror movies in general, this would easily be a 0, just like the other ones. Just a slightly better directed 0 than those first 2. But I'm judging it in terms of a Paranormal Activity movie in terms of this series, so it gets a 1 star for at least some creativity and some good directing shots. So yeah, it still sucks, but it's the best of the 3, or at least the most entertaining. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you again with Paranormal Activity 4.